Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So we're just going to read from the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. So where are we?
Canto 3, Chapter 16, Text 27.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
There's harmony, wasn't it?
You reading first?
Right, we're going to finish the chapter.
Well, if you don't talk too much.
Right. Text 27. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode.
So,
did they what? Yeah.
No,
that's how we won't finish. Let Prabhupada speak first and then we speak.
Perfect, thank you.
Is it not, everyone?
Not it is.
Alright, Prabhupada. The transcendental abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita and confirmed in this verse, is self-illuminated. In Bhagavad-Gita it is said that in the spiritual world there is no need of sun, moon or electricity. This indicates that all the planets there are self-illuminated, self-sufficient and independent. Everything there is complete. Lord Krishna says that once one goes to that Vaikuntha planet, he never returns. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha never return to the material world. But the incident of Jaya and Vijaya was a different case. They came to the material world for some time and then they returned to Vaikuntha.
Interesting. Yeah, what I was going to say first is this is, of course, Brahma Uvacha, so Lord Brahma is speaking, and I was just trying to recall the context because we got into the whole thing. So who's telling the story here, and who is Lord Brahma speaking to? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Lord Brahma speaking to someone.
There it is, Brahma Uvacha. Shukadeva is speaking, and Vidura.
It's a story within a story.
Yeah, so Maitreya is telling a story.
Sukadev.
No, there's Maitreya. Maitreya said to Vidura.
So it's Vidura.
No, but we know that's going on. Lord Brahma said, my dear son. So he's speaking.
Manu.
Is he speaking to Manu?
Yeah. The dealings of Manu is excellent. Remember?
Oh, okay, yeah. Because, that was the appearance of Lord Varahadev. But where did you go back to? The beginning of this chapter?
No.
Yeah, so go back to the beginning of this chapter.
Oh, my days.
Because it changes. So, that was the appearance of Lord Varahadev, where Lord Brahma was speaking to Manu, because he was asking Manu to go and go for population. But he said, well, where do you want me to go? Because the earth is submerged in the water. Then Lord Varahadev goes and saves. Then the conversation continues because someone is asking specifically, where did this Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu come from?
No, it's true. I can't really find it. But I'll read and you can look for it, innit?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Which canto is this? Third canto. Third canto. It's 16th canto of 12. It's 16, okay. We're having a good day today, in case you didn't notice. Anyway, so you read the next one.
Oh my days. Alright, text 28. The sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offered their obeisances and returned, extremely delighted at learning of the divine opulences of the Vaishnava. Purport. It is still a respectful practice to circumambulate the Lord in Hindu temples. Especially in Vaishnava temples, there is an arrangement for people to offer their respects to the deity and circumambulate the temple at least 3 times. You can do that here as well. I guess you can do it at nearly every temple. In a sense, we don't have it like in India where you walk around them and you go behind them. But let's say you come out of the actual building and you just do like a left, 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 or right, 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 like that. You know, you just go round the block, as it were, of that where the temple is. That means you're circumambulating the lordships and the Vaishnavas, whoever's in the building. So it's nice thought. During the lockdown, there's one lady, elderly lady, who's partially blind, and she comes every day for the morning program, every day, many years. And she couldn't come in the building during the lockdown, and she uses a stick because she is partially blind. And it's so cold, and she's got the mask, and she's still wearing the mask since last year, March. And she would do that. She would go around the building. She couldn't come in, so she would just go around the building every day. And I mean early morning hours. And yeah, she was just pining for the Lord. Pining. Does so much service. Very sweet lady.
So I found it, and by the way, this is really cool books if you're really into the Bhagavatam. This is called Bhagavat Subodhini, and it's an enriching the experience of Srimad Bhagavatam study. It's from the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith at the Govardhaniko village outside Mumbai. And they have all the books. And I noticed today in Radha's boutique that they also had the Chaitanya Charitamrita study guide and also the Bhagavad-Gita. So I may be looking at getting those ones, but my wife doesn't want me to get any more books.
No, we've got a whole wall.
So the conversation is between the demigods and Lord Brahma. So the demigods come and they glorify Lord Brahma. This is in the 15th chapter. And they ask him to solve the current problem. And the current problem is that these two personalities are wreaking havoc on the universe. And Lord Brahma explains the origin of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu like that. So, okay, so where are we up to? Did you read the purport?
Yeah, 29 now.
Okay. It's okay if I read?
Yeah, I think we were waiting for you to read.
I thought so. Okay. So, text 29. The Lord then said to his attendants, Jai and Vijay, depart this place, but fear not. All glory is unto you. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmana's curse, I would not do so. On the contrary, it has my approval. Well, there you go, boys and girls. I mean, you're kind of, first you get punished, and then, the Lord kind of says, yeah, I'm okay with that. So, purport. As explained in connection with text 26, all the incidents that took place had the approval of the Lord. Ordinarily, there is no possibility that the 4 sages could be so angry with the doorkeepers, nor could the Supreme Lord neglect his 2 doorkeepers, nor can one come back from Vaikuntha after once taking birth there. All these incidents, therefore, were designed by the Lord himself for the sake of his pastimes in the material world. Thus, he plainly says that it was done with his approval. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for inhabitants of Vaikuntha to come back to this material world simply because of a Brahminical curse. Interesting. The Lord especially blesses the so-called culprits. All glories unto you. A devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down. That is the conclusion of this incident. Phew. I mean, that's very complicated, and this whole pastime is quite involved in so many ways, but just saying a devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down. So here we see that maybe accepted means has returned to the Vaikuntha planets, because that's where Jai and Vijay were. So they're obviously accepted back. But what about devotees here? Are they accepted or not? How would we understand that? And then, of course, the idea of fall down, they seem to have made a mistake, but anyway. Let's just keep reading, I guess.
Text 30. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. Text 31. The Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas, and within a very short time return to me. Purport. The Supreme Personator of Godhead advised the two doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, that by dint of Bhakti-Yoga in anger, they would be delivered from the curses of the Brahmanas. Srila Madhav Muni remarks in this connection that by practicing Bhakti-Yoga, one can become free from all sinful reactions. Even a Brahma sap, or curse by a Brahmana, which cannot be overcome by any other means, can be overcome by Bhakti-Yoga.
It's Madhva Muni, and I presume that's Madhva Acharya, but I'm not 100% sure. One can practice Bhakti Yoga in many rasas. There are 12 rasas, 5 primary and 7 secondary. The 5 primary rasas constitute direct Bhakti Yoga, but although the 7 secondary rasas are indirect, they are also counted within Bhakti Yoga. If they are used in the service of the Lord, but although the 7 secondary rasas are indirect, they are also counted within Bhakti Yoga if they are used in the service of the Lord. In other words, Bhakti Yoga is all-inclusive. If one somehow or other becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes engaged in Bhakti Yoga, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:29-15. Kamam krodam bhayam. The gopis were attracted to Krishna by Bhakti Yoga in a relationship of lusty desire, kama. Similarly, Kamsa was attached to Bhakti Yoga by dint of fear of his death. Thus, Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that even becoming an enemy of the Lord and always thinking of him can deliver one very quickly. It is said, Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva Asuras Tad Vipanyaya. Devotees of Lord Vishnu are called demigods, whereas non-devotees are called asuras. But Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that both demigods and asuras can derive its benefits if they always think of the personality of Godhead. The basic principle of Bhakti Yoga is to think of the Supreme Lord always. The Lord says in Bhagavad-Gita 18:65, Man mana bhava mad bhakta. Always think of me. It doesn't matter which way one thinks. The very thought of the personality of Godhead is the basic principle of Bhakti Yoga. That is a very, very powerful statement. Of course, I remember hearing one lecture where someone said, yes, you can either become an asura and a big demon and fight, and try to meditate on the Lord in that way, or you can become a devotee. Either way seems like it can work, but to become a demon or an asura is a much more difficult path in one sense, so it's probably easier to become a devotee. So, like that. Anyway.
Final paragraph. In the material planets, there are different grades of sinful activities, of which disrespecting a Brahmana or Vaishnava is the most sinful. Here it is clearly stated that one can overcome even that grave sin simply by thinking of Vishnu, not even favorably, but in anger. Thus, even if those who are not devotees always think of Vishnu, they become free from all sinful activities. Krishna consciousness is the highest form of thought. Lord Vishnu is thought of in this age by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
From the statements of the Bhagavatam, it appears that if one thinks of Krishna, even as an enemy, that particular qualification, thinking of Vishnu or Krishna, cleanses one of all sins.
Of course, that's not the goal. The goal of chanting the holy names is not to cleanse ourselves of all sins. In one sense, it's not the goal. It means it shouldn't be our motivating factor, like the seventh defense against the holy names, chant the holy names of the Lord, to commit sinful activity on the strength of chanting the holy names of the Lord, which means you commit sins, chant the holy name to eradicate them. Then you commit some more sins, chant the holy names to eradicate them. So that's not the goal. But of course, our goal is to develop love for Krishna. Byproduct of that is remembering Krishna, chanting his holy names, and becoming purified of sinful reactions in the process. It's a byproduct, it's not the goal. Exactly. Now, I'm feeling like we're really going to be pushing to finish this chapter, although you seemed very enthusiastic.
I wasn't, until we got diverted. Okay, let's stop here and then we'll pick up next
I think we
time.
can read one more, no? Yeah, we go. Yeah, just one more. Text 32. After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode, where there are many celestial airplanes and all surpassing wealth and splendor. Purport. It is clear from this verse that all the incidents took place at the entrance of Vaikuntha Loka. In other words, the sages were not actually within Vaikuntha Loka. But were at the gate. It could be asked, how could they return to the material world if they entered Vaikuntha Loka? But factually they did not enter, and therefore they returned. There are many similar incidents where great yogis and brahmanas, by dint of their yoga practice, have gone from this material world to Vaikuntha Loka. But they were not meant to stay there. They came back. It is also confirmed here that the Lord was surrounded by many Vaikuntha airplanes. Vaikuntha Loka is described here as having splendid opulence far surpassing the splendor of this material world.
Next paragraph. All other living creatures, including the demigods, are born of Brahma, and Brahma is born of Lord Vishnu. Krishna states in Bhagavad-Gita in the 10th chapter, Aham Sarvasra Prabhava. Lord Vishnu is the origin of all manifestations in the material world. Those who know that Lord Vishnu is the origin of everything, who are conversant with the process of creation, and who understand that Vishnu or Krishna is the most worshipable object of all living entities, engage themselves in Vishnu worship as Vaishnavas. The Vedic hymns also confirm this. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. The goal of life is to understand Vishnu. The Bhagavatam also confirms this elsewhere. Foolish people, not knowing that Vishnu is the supreme worshipable object, create so many worshipable objects in this material world, and therefore they fall down.
Any thoughts?
Yes, it's very easy to be distracted on the path of spiritual life and create material worshipable objects in the form of spouse and children and other distracting objects.
Did it say that in the purport?
No, you said any thoughts.
Wow, okay.
But it does say in the purport, that foolish people, not knowing that Vishnu is the supreme worshipable object, create so many worshipable objects in this material world, and therefore they fall down. And from that I gleaned what I just said.
You gleaned it, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thus ends another discussion and reading of the Bhagavatam. Where gleaning has manifested for everyone. Okay, so probably by the time you're seeing this, the
tomorrow.
Prabhupada Marathon will have started. So please, please, please distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, distribute books, Srila Prabhupada's books. And if you would like to sponsor any books or get a set from us or anything like that, then please do it so that we can help to distribute lots of Srila Prabhupada's books during this marathon. Okay, thank you all very, very much. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.